Good afternoon and good evening to all my friends across Asia Pacific countries. R10 Talk team is delighted to present this seventh edition, that is a webinar on the acceleration and sustainability of metaverse development. We are delighted to have with us Dr. Yuan, President of IEEE Standards Association. I would now request Professor Takao Onoe to make the opening remarks and just introduce today's speaker to the audience. Professor Onoe, please.
Yes, Sanjay-san. Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. Thank you for participating in Region 10 Talk. This is the seventh talk of 2023 webinar series. My name is Takao Onoe, currently serving the Region 10 Vice Chair for Technical Activities. As a new style of knowledge sharing and scientific communication regarding cutting-edge technical trends and important technologies for solving social issues, we are regularly coordinating Region 10 webinar series, Region 10 Talk webinar series. I really thank to our Region 10 Talk team for preparing and coordinating this webinar. Today's topic is very exciting. Metaverse is one of the most important and emerging technologies in our future life, where cyber world and the real world are effectively connected. We may expect enormous valuable services on the metaverse. As the speaker of this fantastic webinar, we invited the very important executive from IEEE, Dr. Yuan, the president of IEEE Standard Association. That means we have an opportunity not only to learn the latest metaverse technologies, but also to interact directly with the top of IEEE standard activities. His webinar title is The Acceleration and Sustainability of Metaverse Development. Before starting, let me briefly introduce the biography of Dr. Yuan. Dr. Yuan, president of IEEE Standard Association, is a visionary scientist, inventor, and entrepreneur in the area of consumer technology, multimedia, virtual reality, Internet of Things, and digital transformation. He co-founded Birth Maker, a metaverse enabling and incubation platform facilitating global collaboration and innovation on metaverse by information exchange, expert network, and investment. Birth Maker is committed to becoming a bridge and catalyst for China's research and development, education and training, large enterprises, startup companies, and investment institutions to participate in the global metaverse innovation and cooperation ecosystem. He founded ZeroX Senses, a multinational technology company specializing in virtual reality, dedicated to creating virtual world as its long-term vision. ZeroX Senses is developing technologies, infrastructures, ecosystems, and resources needed for massively multiplayer, ultra-realistic virtual experiences. Prior to this, he worked for IBM Research as a research scientist and was a key contributor to IBM's Cell Broadband Engine, Smarter Planet, and IoT initiative. He has been a passionate volunteer in various leadership positions at IEEE and other professional organizations. He is also serving as a director on IEEE Board of Directors, a member at large on the IEEE Consumer Technology Society Board of Governors, the executive vice chair of the China Institute of Communication Blockchain Committee, and honorary president of the Japan International Metaverse Association. He has a PhD and MS and BS in computer science from Tsinghai University. So let us welcome Dr. Yuan. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you
would
so
request
much.
Dr. Yuan to kindly take the center stage and start your presentation. Thank you, Dr. Yuan.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Takao.
much. It's my great honor to have this opportunity to give this talk. So let's talk about the acceleration and sustainability of metaverse development. I have a subtitle: Less Carbon, More Silicon. which means basically two aspects. One is that with Metaverse, we will transform or transit more and more activities from the carbon world to the silicon world. And another aspect that we will more and more rely on digital technologies in our life and in our work. So let's talk about what happened recently. First of all, I'd like to talk about the synergistic acceleration and the sustainability of metaverse and AI development. So lots of things happened this year, especially starting from March. So this is one picture I saw from social media saying that ChatGPT is actually drawing all the attentions, but Metaverse is sort of out of scope, out of favor, and the NFT has been dead deep under the water. So the question is, will generative AI really steal the spotlight of Metaverse or boost the development of Metaverse? And another picture, which is even worse, is saying rest in peace, Metaverse 2021 to 2023, saying like, hey, Metaverse is dead. But as you may already know, a couple of weeks ago, Apple released the Vision Pro. So I saw another picture. Now it's saying ChatGPT is dead, saying that Apple launched the Vision Pro, ChatGPT is dead, and here is 28 things you need to know if you don't want to fall behind. So those kind of things are happening not really weekly, but actually daily. So what is the real trend? What is the fact? So let's talk about when we are saying Metaverse is dead or not. Let's first address what is Metaverse. So we can review a brief history of Metaverse. Many of us know that Metaverse, this term was coined by the author Neil Stephenson back in 1992 in his science fiction book, Snow Crash. But earlier than that, back in 1974, Steve Yuan, who has been widely recognized as the father of wearable computing and AR, he coined the term metavision as extended reality using wearable computing. And back in 2003, Second Life, which is widely recognized as the first embodiment of Metaverse, released and founded by Philip Rossdale. And then, almost after 30 years after the Metaverse, the word was coined, 2021, Roblox went to IPO, and they portrayed themselves as a metaverse company, which brought the term metaverse back into the view of the general public. And another thing which put metaverse into an even higher hype or as an even hotter topic is the renaming of Facebook. Facebook renamed itself as Meta, along with their efforts in both software and hardware. So this is a brief history of Metaverse, and as a standards developer, I have been trying to provide a definition for the Metaverse. As you know, there is still no commonly agreed definition for Metaverse. So when people are talking about Metaverse is taking off or Metaverse is dead, first of all, we need to figure out what are the different metaverses people are talking about. So back in 2018, we were addressing another problem, which is there are lots of realities like virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and so on. So I co-authored a paper with Steve Mann, the father of wearable computing, and Tom Furness, the grandfather of VR. We co-authored a paper trying to unify all kinds of extended realities together in a single map or in a single system. But when we are talking about the metaverse, I'm sort of a strong believer of what George Berkeley said many years ago, well, hundreds of years ago, to be is to be perceived. So I think there are basically three types of metaverses. Uh, so I came up with this definition. Metaverse refers to a kind of experience in which the outside world is perceived by the users. Users could be human, could be non-human, and the outside world is perceived as a being, a universe, and that the universe is built upon digital technologies. So it could be either a different universe, which is basically virtual reality, or digital extension of our current universe, which is augmented reality, or a digital counterpart of our current universe, which is digital twin. So I believe these three types of metaverse covers all the use cases or all the examples that we have been seeing when people talk about metaverse. And also, I think when we are talking about metaverse, because the name is after universe, it has to be connected with universe. Otherwise, some people say metaverse is the next generation of web. Then why don't you simply call that meta web or call that meta internet? You call that metaverse. There must be a reason. There must be some connections with the universe. But also, I recognized that we need to be more inclusive. So I created this cube. So from the experience view, like I said, metaverse could be defined as a digital and different universe, or a digital extension of our current universe, or a digital counterpart of our current universe, which respectively reflect virtual reality, augmented reality, and the digital twin. But there's another functional view. So I don't think functional view can be used as definition, but it's still like many people are talking about talking in this way. So from the functional view, metaverse could be the next version of World Wide Web, Web 3.0. Please note that I'm using the term Web 3.0 instead of Web 3, because Web 3 is narrowly defined as like a decentralized blockchain-based web. But Web 3.0 is generally the next generation of web, no matter it is like a semantic or 3D or decentralized or intelligent or whatever. So many people believe metaverse will be the next version of web and the next generation of the internet. We know that the web is different from the internet. So many people, there are also many people talk about metaverse is the next generation of the internet. And lastly, metaverse is the next stage of digital transformation. So I believe metaverse is the next biggest thing. Although we are seeing the taking off of AI, but my point is that AI will be indeed helping metaverse take off rather than steal the spotlight from metaverse. I also added another layer on the top, saying that many people are talking about the consumer metaverse, industry metaverse, even academia or government metaverse, which means metaverse can be used in various industries and sectors. But in the ecosystem, associations like IEEE is playing an important role to put everything together, serving as catalyst or glue for, or even amplifier for everything to be working together. So that's my latest view about the metaverse. So let's take a look at the metaverse technology landscape. Basically, metaverse will rely on all kinds of supporting technologies, those digital technologies like computation, like storage, like communications, data, and intelligence. But the core technologies of metaverse, there are three categories: extended sensors and actions. In other words, they call that XR, or call that spatial computing. This category includes virtual sensors and actuators, and of course, real sensors and actuators to provide to support various interface, including body-machine interface, brain-machine interface. By the way, like headsets or glasses, I call that body-machine interface. But I personally believe moving forward, we will get into the area of brain-machine interface, using brain-machine interface to provide extended senses and actions. And also programming interface. If the user is not a human, but a non-player character or AI or machine, then we will be using programming interface. So you can say the top layer, we are supporting users like a human, creature, and NPC and AI and machine. So the second category in the middle, we call that a persistent virtual world. So here is the keyword persistent. Why persistent? After Metaverse became a hot topic again, I asked myself, what's the difference between Metaverse and the virtual reality? The answer is persistent. So there are many virtual reality applications or scenarios in which the virtual worlds are one-time use, which means every time you log in, the virtual world in that application or in that scenario will be reset, will be, let's say, everything will be built from scratch again. So which means you can, as a user, you cannot leave any footprint. You cannot create any long-lasting objects in that virtual world. But in order for a metaverse to make sense, especially in order to be able to enable like some digital economy or transaction in that virtual world, such a virtual world has to be persistent. You can also think in this way, like metaverse is named after universe, so which has to be sort of persistent or long-lasting. But in order to build and operate persistent virtual worlds, we need some specific technologies, either integration of existing technologies, or we need some innovative new technologies to support that. So in this category, at the bottom layer, we have engines, physics engines, graphics engines, sounds and intelligence, including generative AI, to support various kinds of modeling, designing, and digital content creation technologies, including professional generated content, user-generated content, and AI-aided professional generated content and user-generated content. And of course, the latest and the hottest topic is AI-generated content, AIGC. And I also put here digital twin generated content to reflect that there are also another category of metaverses, which is digital twin style metaverse. And so on top of, excuse me, on top of these technologies, we will be able to build very virtual maps, virtual scenes, virtual objects, and virtual characters. And the last category of the core technologies of metaverse is digital finance and economy. I call that consensus computing, which is basically digital assets, including but not limited to virtual assets. Please note that digital assets may or may not be built upon decentralization, and decentralization may or may not be built upon blockchain. So this is the metaverse technology landscape. And let's take a look how generative AI will boost the development of metaverse. So when we are talking about the development of metaverse, we are facing a challenge, which is the richness of content. We are talking about the content at various levels, at the building level, city level, planet level, or even galaxy level. If we completely rely on human labor ourselves, we will not be able to build so many, I would say, those rich content at so many levels. So generative AI will definitely be our magic tool to help address this challenge. And another aspect that generative AI will help will be understanding the words. So you say the demo of an Apple's Vision Pro, actually similar technologies have been used in other companies' products or prototypes like Microsoft HoloLens, like Magic Leap, and a few others. So especially in the AR style metaverse, one of the most important things is to understand the world, understand the physical world around the user, so that the virtual objects could be precisely mapped and displayed onto the physical environment. So generative AI is definitely helping with this task. And another aspect is intelligent NPC, intelligent non-player characters. So in metaverses, we are anticipating lots of non-player characters to help us enrich the experience we will have inside the metaverses. So those kind of intelligent non-player characters need to be driven by generative AI, so they could have customized conversation with you, and they could perform like human players. So that would be also very important. So I put together a simple table to highlight the importance of generative AI towards three different types of metaverses: VR style, AR style, and digital twin style. You can see richness of content and intelligent NPCs are most important in VR style metaverse, and the generative AI can help a lot. And in terms of understanding the worlds, AR style metaverse will be benefiting from generative AI. So this is from supply side, I mean supplying metaverse building. And but there's another very different, very important aspect, which is even more important, is demand side. So previously, before we see the rise of generative AI, many people were questioning why do we need a metaverse? So metaverse is not a rigid demand, but with the rise of AI, we can say that there's a labor market transformation driven by generative AI. So the thing is, before we have generative AI, the labor market is like the left picture. So it's basically like we human beings on any single skill, our skill level is like a pyramid. It's like 20% or 25% of people, their skill level is above average, so they can call themselves professionals, and they can make a living by doing that as a job. And other guys, other people whose skill set is below average, they are amateur, so they could not make money from doing that, because your skill set is below the average. Who will pay you to do that? But with the rise of generative AI, the skill set of amateurs will be significantly improved, like the picture on the right. So now the curve is like a platoon. So 99% of people will be able to achieve the skill level, like maybe 99% top, something like that, which is a good thing, by the way. So generative AI will significantly improve the skill of everybody in many professions. But as a result, only a very so that the bar, or in other words, the average level is also significantly increased, which means only a very small number of people can continue to be called professionals and can make a living by doing so. So many people will have to either look for new job opportunities, or we just say, okay, let AI do the jobs for us. We just enjoy fewer working hours and more leisure time. So no matter we want to accommodate the needs for new job opportunities, or want to accommodate the needs for enjoying fewer working hours or more leisure time, Metaverse is probably the most sustainable and cost-effective approach. So which means with the rise of generative AI, especially with the labor market transformation driven by generative AI, Metaverse will become a rigid demand. And I also want to address that Metaverse will in turn help the further development of AI. So we are talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence. So researchers believe that in order to further develop AI, we need to train the AI with multimodal data, and also there's another term called embodied AI, which means the AI need to be trained in the physical world. But if we really train an AI in the physical world, like put an AI in a robot, it's not cost effective, and it also related to many risks and financial risks. It's not the biggest thing, but safety risks and so on. So the idea is that for this diagram I created back in 7 years ago, or back in 2017 or 2016, to reflect that basically human and machine, we can share the input from physical world, the cyber world, and so on. You can call that virtual reality or augmented reality. So the point is that in order to provide an environment to train AI efficiently, Metaverse is probably the best solution or approach. Actually, this is not something new. This has been happening in some industries, for example, autonomous driving. So in the autonomous driving industry, almost all the companies are training their algorithms, testing their autonomous driving cars in virtual world first, on virtual roads. So only after they have tested their autonomous driving algorithms for let's say millions or even billions of virtual miles on virtual roads, they would start putting their car on real world. So this is already happening, and this will become a trend, how we can further development AI. So my conclusion is that we will say the synergetic acceleration of metaverse and AI development. And I also want to address NFT. So I criticize that NFT, today most NFTs have no use value, but only the so-called collection value. So I doubt transferring assets from one virtual world to another is not really a rigid demand. For example, some people say, okay, NFT can help transferring assets from one world to another, but do we really need that? Think about such an example, like in the game Call of Duty Mobile, every sniper gun is naturally with a scope, but in another game, PUBG Mobile, every sniper gun, particularly the Car 98K, is without a scope. You need to run for airdrop to get a scope, so you can really use that gun. But if you allow a user to bring a sniper gun from Call of Duty to PUBG, then the game balance in PUBG will be destroyed. Some people say, okay, so how about the skin? Forget about the weapon. How about the skin? How about the clothes? So similarly, in PUBG, you can find a suit from airdrops, and with that suit, your enemy would be difficult to find you. But in Call of Duty, some characters, they are naturally with that suit. So if you allow a user to bring skin freely from one game world to another, the game balance will also be destroyed. So my question or my conclusion is that NFT application scenarios in Metaverse may be very limited. And also, I have some questions regarding Web3, particularly regarding Web3 talks about ownership, but I doubt ownership will really matter to users, because let's say we have been talking about the sharing economy. Airbnb and Uber are the examples, saying that ownership does not matter. You can save money and enjoy services. But the Web3 community keeps talking about ownership does matter, and you should pay for that by purchasing tokens. So the Web3 web inventor Tim Berners-Lee, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, I invited him to an event in Davos this January. He also insisted that we should ignore Web3. Web3 is not the web at all. But I'm not saying that NFT and Web3 are dying. I'm saying that generative AI will savage NFT and Web3 as well. So generative AI will force the physical economy to shift towards the digital economy, which means a massive amount of native digital assets will be driving up the demand for ownership and transactions in the form of NFT. But I put together another term, NFT, in order to be on the road to redemption. We need to stop selling PFP, profile pictures. Those profile pictures, you call that NFT and you even call that metaverse. That does not make any sense. So we need to switch to another concept, persistent digital presence. I say recently a different but similar concept. They call that dynamic NFT. I kind of like that idea. So the persistent digital presence in virtual worlds is a kind of dynamic NFT. So I think I still don't think NFT will be dominating the NFT digital economy. It will still be a small portion of that. But with the growth of digital economy, NFT will also be growing. Also, generative AI will have some consequence on Web3. So it has lowered the barriers to production, which means tasks that traditionally requires a group of people to form a company to perform now can be done by a single individual, which this will drive the transformation of production relations towards decentralization. So that's why I'm saying that Web3, particularly, I like the core concept of decentralization, which may have a chance to grow in the era of generative AI. So in general, I'm saying that well, we are facing the already taking off of AI towards generative. Well, generative AI is already happening, and we are facing AGI is on the horizon. But the next phase of digitalization or digital transformation is metaverse. Actually, I call that realitization, aka metaverse. So we are actually in the middle of digitalization 4.0 and between 4.0 and 5.0, and with help from generative AI, metaverse will facing its real taking off very soon. So we will say digitalization 5.0 metaverse, which means for the first time, we human beings we are able to create let's say we are able to create digital universes thanks to all the digital technologies we have accumulated during the past decades. I'd also like to briefly mention about metaverse versus sustainability. So many people are concerned about if metaverse or metaverses will be very energy consumption. So of course we need to make sure that metaverse infrastructure will be low energy consumption, low carbon emission as far as possible. But we should also understand that metaverse will transfer more and more activities from the real world to digital world, which means the energy consumption and the carbon emissions will be reduced. And the metaverse will also be can also be used in environmental protection, education, climate science research, and other fields to provide more support for tackling global climate change. Recently, we, the IEEE Standards Association, we co-sponsored an award, which is actually a competition or challenge along together with Microsoft, NVIDIA, and AWE. AWE is one of the most influential industry shows in the XR and metaverse industry, probably the most important. So they are running a competition called the XR Prize for Climate Change. So we IEEE we are proud to be a sponsor for that competition. So that competition is actually a very good example that XR and metaverse technologies can be used to fight climate change. And collectively, my conclusion is that the metaverse will provide an effective path to promote sustainable development and address climate change. So not many people are thinking that the metaverse and the sustainability are very relevant in a positive way. But the answer is yes, they are relevant in a positive way. So we can use metaverse to address sustainability problem. So let's take a look at the road to the ultimate metaverse, and I can actually talk about this for like a half day or so. So, but let me briefly mention this. So we are still facing some grand challenges. For example, how to address virtual senses and actions, especially, for example, how to achieve comprehensive and ultra-realistic virtual senses and actions. Imagine you want to have a virtual beer with your friends in a virtual bar. Even we can simulate the look, smell, and the taste of beer, we are still far from simulating the dopamine and the pleasure produced after drinking alcohol. So the ultimate solution will be the brain-machine interface, because fundamentally everything you perceive is from the human-machine interface. So by being able to access human-machine interface, especially write signals into brain-machine interface, we will be able to eventually simulate all kinds of senses and actions. Another aspect is virtual worlds, how to build a persistent, large-scale, fine-graded, and physically self-consistent virtual world. So the answer is that we need building blocks which can consistently follow physical laws, and those building blocks should be finer and finer. So we see some approaches. For example, Second Life, Minecraft, their virtual worlds are built with basic building blocks. So I think this is the right direction. And moving forward, we will see finer and finer building blocks. And another challenge, especially in the AR style metaverse, is integration between virtual objects and the real one. So how we can make sure that, or let's say, enable a user to not only see a virtual object, but also feel it. It is actually difficult. Let me ask another question. Could a virtual umbrella protect you from real rain? The answer is absolutely no. So, which means in order to address the ultimate integration between virtual objects and the real world, we need not only technologies on interoperability, display, but also we need to address that from the content perspective, which means when we are designing different applications, different experiences for AR style metaverses, we need to avoid those scenarios that will make the user feel like, hey, I'm saying something which looks very real, but I could not feel that. We need to avoid such kind of scenarios. So lastly, there's I call that optional challenge would be decentralization. So I wanted to highlight that many people feel like, okay, you put something on blockchain, it is decentralized, but it is not. For example, Ethereum, so their nodes are being run through centralized web providers like Amazon. So which means this could be a central point of failure. Let me give an example. I think back in 2020, there's an application that the name is Parler. So Parler was shut down by basically by Apple, Google, and Amazon collectively, because they don't like Parler's their position, their position in politics. So which means an application like Parler, they rely on Amazon cloud. They rely on the markets of Apple and Google. Such kind of application can be shut down by those giants if they don't like it, which means a central point of failure or multiple central point of failure. And some people will claim that, well, Bitcoin is more decentralized. But let's take a look at Bitcoin. So how many nodes are actually active on Bitcoin? The answer is not millions, answer is not billions, the answer is just like tens of thousands, which is far from our expectation. By contrast, as of 2013, 10 years ago, BitTorrent had 15 to 27 million concurrent users at any time. So even we believe decentralization is valuable, we still have a long way to go. Um, so, but what I'm saying is that I'm not saying that the metaverse is still facing like a decade or two before we can enjoy it. Actually, I would say metaverse is a harvesting while plowing journey. For example, let's say today you go to buy a TV, it will be 4K or 8K, 3D or something like that. But many years ago, maybe 2 decades ago, we were watching CRT TV, we were watching VHS tape. Uh, those were far from the quality that today's TV technology can provide, but we still enjoyed using them, which means a technology does not have to be ideal before it can be useful and usable. So I think metaverse in the coming years will generate value and we will enjoy it. Um, so let's also talk about the standards. So standardization navigates the development of metaverse. That's for sure. Especially, I have been talking about expanding the scope of standards development in IEEE Standards Association, and especially one example I'd like to talk about is we need to see more and more market-driven standards. Because nowadays, along with the emerging of many new technologies, we are not only, let's say, developing market-driven standards, we also need to develop standards before a particular technology or particular market becomes mature enough. I call those standards market-driven standards. An example is autonomous driving industry. They have been using a standard which is actually SAE 3016 standard. That standard classifies autonomous driving into 6 different levels from level 0 to level 5. Everybody in the autonomous driving industry is using that standard, talking about, hey, my company is working on a level 4 autonomous driving, and another company's car is like level 3. So which actually set the roadmap and the expectations for the market, help the industry grow in a sustainable and a healthy way. So I believe in metaverse industry, we also need such kind of standards. And so in general, the metaverse standardization ecosystem, we will need a terminology, definitions, and taxonomy as a foundation. And we will need 3 important pillars: technology, of course, interoperability, standards, interfaces, formats, functions, performance, safety, security, identity, and privacy. And we also need the content standards, because when we are talking about the metaverse, the immersive nature of metaverse could be very influential to your physical and mental health. So we need extra descriptors and ratings. Otherwise, let's say somebody has a problem with hate, but if you all of a sudden put him in a virtual reality experience, let him be virtually on a roller coaster, he may have some real problems with his like mental health or even physical health. So we need the content descriptors and ratings standards. And also social implications. We need ethical standards and also other standards to address ESG and SDG and applications. On top of all of this, we believe metaverse will have a profound impact on everything in every industries. So we will have various applications in various industries, and we need standards for them. So what IEEE has been doing, we have been organizing the IEEE Metaverse Congress, which is a series of virtual and hybrid sessions in order to provide a global and comprehensive view of the metaverse. So far we have conducted collectively, I believe, 13 or 14 sessions, and collectively those sessions attracted more than 120,000 attendees, which is huge. So I would say from that perspective, this is already a very established event series in the metaverse industry. So you can just stay tuned at metaverse.IEEE.org. We are announcing all the future sessions on that website, and you can watch all the recordings from our previous sessions. And we established the first IEEE Metaverse Standards Committee under the Consumer Technology Society, which we believe is the first standards committee on Metaverse at the standards committee level or technical committee level in all the major global and international SDLs. And we, in addition to many supporting standards, which are more or less related to Metaverse, we have several standards and projects which are explicitly named after Metaverse. 2048 is standards for Metaverse terminology, definitions, and taxonomy. 1716 and 1716.1 are about ethics, and 3812.1 is about identity framework. We also have, let's say, two industry connections. So industry connections programs are a very different, very unique program, only available in IEEE Standards Association, which is everything related to standards development, but not the standards development itself, which means any activities before or after standards development or around standard development can be conducted in industry connections activities, kind of like a standing technical committee, but around the standards. So we have two IC activities, persistent computing for Metaverse, which is about let's say facilitating discussions around how the persistent virtual worlds can be built. Decentralized metaverse is about, we believe that in the future we will have centralized metaverses and decentralized metaverses coexisting. But how to make sure decentralized metaverses are developed in the right way? I mean, when we are talking about the decentralized, it's real decentralization rather than being claimed as decentralized, but the reality would be it's even more centralized, controlled by fewer people, which will typically cause lots of scandals and risks. So we want to make sure decentralized metaverses will be developed in the right way. So we started this initiative. So again, stay tuned at the website metaverse.IEEE.org. We put together a comprehensive list of all the Metaverse-related standards and projects there, along with our Metaverse Congress. So lastly, we are in the preparation for launching a new program. We call that IEEE ISTO Metaverse Acceleration and Sustainability Association. This is to accelerate the development of Metaverse-related technologies, ecosystem, and market across the world, and to do so in a sustainable manner. Also, we want to support the larger, greater sustainability and humanity. So in this program, we will develop roadmaps, we will develop open standards, conformity assessment and certification, we will develop open source reference implementations, pilot applications, and public awareness, and also addressing other issues like diversity and inclusion in metaverses. And also, lastly, in order to further facilitate the growth of the metaverse ecosystem in the industry, we will provide a digital assets pool and exchange for digital assets based economy and finance. So that concludes my presentation, and I will be happy to take any questions. I put my contact information on the screen, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or email. I also have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but I'm not really active on Facebook or Instagram. So but I'm more active on LinkedIn. So welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Yuan. Actually, we are waiting for some questions to be put on the chat box, but as of now, I do not. Any questions that you may put in the chat box or from the panelists you may ask directly?
Yeah, feel free to do so. Or if someone has any questions, you can ask me offline. So I put my email address and all the social media contact information on my screen. And also, if you are interested in joining any of the standards projects we established or launched, so also feel free to contact me. I can redirect you to the right persons for you to participate in those projects.
Thank you. I do not find any questions in the chat box. So I think if they want, they can connect with you through us. So we can send you the questions. You can send them mails directly. You have shared your email ID. So they can send you the questions directly. We just come to the last leg of the today's webinar. May I request Dr. Preeti Bajaj, or Vice Chair Member Activities, to kindly make the closing statement and propose a vote of thanks. Dr. Bajaj, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. So thank you so much, Dr. Yuan, the President of IEEE Standard Association, for delivering wonderful talk on Metaverse, and especially which was very close to me. And in fact, I thought of, let me combine the vote of thanks and questions as well. So, this was the most difficult topic, if I consider, and that too, especially on the acceleration and sustainability of the metaverse development, which is need of an hour. So you have taken, seamlessly through the three pillars, which you talked about, just some of the glimpses from your talk, which I was attending. So you, the three pillars which you talked about: contents, the technology, and the social implications. Very, very important. I myself, must have with the community, must have conducted many panel discussion, which are very, very important, especially social implications when we are talking about generative AI. You have shown wonderful conceptual diagram, the NFT, Web3, the centralized metaverse versus decentralization of metaverse, generative AI, how it is going to force, and salvage the NFT and Web3. How the physical, it is going to affect the physical economy, how it is going to shift towards, digital economy, the complete transformation, all that which you have done. And the generative AI, how it is going to reduce the barriers to the production, the digitization 5.0, 1.0 to 5.0, beautiful path which you have talked about, and the grand challenges, and the solution as well, that how the human machine interface is going to be required for implementing this generative AI. So thank you so much, Yuan, for your wonderful talk, and a lot of questions from my side, and I would be mailing you soon and connecting you over LinkedIn as well. And thank you once again on behalf of R10 Talk Committee, on behalf of R10 Industrial Relation Committee, and the chair, Dr. Sanjay Kar Chaudhary. I could see the all volunteers who are attending this program, Akisen, Takao, and many more volunteers, delegates, everyone, R10 authorities, the director, Dr. Lance, and all the coordinators for this team. Thank you so much for organizing wonderful talk. And every month, every week, we are working on these lectures. Sanjay Dutt, thank you so much for wonderful lecture, and especially the resource person like Dr. Yuan. Once, and not last but not the least, thank you everyone for being here at this afternoon weekend for attending this lecture. I'm sure this lecture must have created a lot of curiosity and interest in the field, which probably will help you in your career as well. Thank you.
Thank you. The
Thank you very much, Preeti. Thank you very much. We are almost at the fag end of this session. Regarding any feedback that you want to give, you can scan the QR code, you can put it on the LinkedIn, on the social media, Facebook, we are there. That is the feedback. You can scan the QR code and give it. Our next session will be on 7th of July. That is something workshop on IEEE standards on interconnecting and communicating with distributed energy resources. That's once again Dr. Yuan's topic. I think that's his department. So we'll be having Dr. Mamadou Diong, who is the supervisor in Dominion Energy, and Robbie Simpson, Chief Technical Officer, DR Security Corp. So we'll be having it in the workshop format and will be moderated by Sri Chandra from India. And nice to have with all of you on 7th. It will be a bit early because we have to connect on the extreme west, the middle part, and the extreme east. So the best time is that we have found out 9 AM Singapore time. It will be a bit early in India time, and it will be late evening at the US time. So please be with us, and we will be shortly sending out the flyers and the links for the registration. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next slide. Please wait. We will be having a group photo. Thank you, the team, particularly the Region 10 Professional Activities Committee, YP, Humanitarian Technology, we, Student Activities Committee, and the life members that form the R10 Talk team, along with me. Thank you, Takao. Thank you, Dr. Akinori Nishihara, Dr. Zia, and others who are there. So it's time just we will take a quick photographs. So please switch on your cameras, please. Dr. Zia, Renu, yes. Renu, please.
Sir, I have some
I
technical
will just take the
Yeah.
screenshot.
I'll take it.
Okay, you take it. Okay, Renu.
On the count of 3, 3, 2, and 1. Yes, sir, done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you all.
everyone.
Thank you,
very
Pani
much.
Vimonta. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Vimonta.
you.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.